Well, welcome to SoCalSportsReport.com's weekly podcast. I'm John Stellman, along with Vince Morales, John Adams, and we are excited. We're going to get out of here in time to see the first pitch of the Dodgers' attempt to win a World Series, first since 1988. I'm going to run through these topics, but I cannot guarantee you that we'll get to all of them today. Of course, we lead with the World Series. We'll talk about the Rams and Chargers if we have a chance. USC's meltdown. UCLA, the Lakers. Lorenzo Ball beat up Phoenix, which is no major accomplishment. Caldwell Pope looked good in his first game back. Also talk about the Kings and Ducks, like I say, if we have time. Before we get started, be on the show. You might not agree with some of the things we say today, so feel free to send us a voicemail, and we will go in there and grab it and play it next week, and we will respond. Also, I want to do a little shilling before we start. Vince wrote a very informative, very good article that you might want to go back and look at. Very timely. This was dated February 18th on the website, entitled "The Dodgers' Best Offseason Move, Re-signing the Versatile Chase Utley." Chase Utley is the only Dodger who has World Series experience. He's great in the clubhouse. He's been great off the bench. He's done everything he's been asked to do. It's a very good article by Vince, and I would suggest that those of you who haven't read it to go back and check it out. It's very timely in view of where the Dodgers are today. And also on the 13th of March, I wrote an article entitled "Wait Till Next Year!" Has next year finally arrived for the Blue? Well, that question has been pretty much answered, but again, a good basis for looking at the World Series and the Dodgers season, which has got them there. So right now, let's get off and running here with the World Series. We're going to break down both teams position by position, give our analysis, pick a winner, and give you guys an idea of how many games we think that might go. We'll start off at first base, although there is no need to spend much time there. Vince?
No, I don't think there is much time we need to spend. Cody Bellinger, far and away, 39 home runs, 97 RBI. He's been doing a very composed job in the postseason. Some big hits, extra base hits, getting on base. He just looks like a seasoned veteran out there. And as long as he stays patient, you give the edge to him against the Astros at the first base position, in my opinion.
39, 95, and a 933 OPS, Rookie of the Year. I think that it's pretty clear cut. Yeah.
And I would say for the next position, it's going to be the same way, when you look at second base.
Exactly.
It's just... I guess when it comes to the infield, granted that Seager's going to be playing shortstop, I feel that, in a couple of these positions, it's pretty one-sided.
Yeah.
So.
So you're going out on the limb and taking Jose Altuve.
Well, I would say there's a lot of people that we have talked to that say that he shouldn't win the MVP. Wow. And I think the numbers behind it speak that this guy is a true MVP. He does it all. I mean, his defense is probably okay. It's not the best, but for a guy that's 5'6" in cleats and hits for the power that he hits on and runs like he does, he's just that scrappy. He's that scrappy little player. That's that gnat that won't get off your shoulder. Right. He is a thorn in people's sides, and I think, if you take him away from that team, I think this team doesn't do what it's done this year. So I truly believe. I know a lot of people will say Aaron Judge has got a good. I just think Aaron Judge strikes out way too much. Right. I think his defense is actually okay, but I don't want to get away from this this Astros Dodgers thing. So Altuve is, I think, the American League MVP and a better player than.
I talked to Tom Dugan, who has filled in occasionally and was with me my first year when we did AngelsReport.com, and he was laying on me one stat after another why Judge should be the MVP, and I just can't buy into it. I mean, there are so many things that Altuve does that aren't stats. I mean, he goes from first to third on a routine, single. He scored. I saw him score. I think he scored in the divisional series from first on a single. And he's just a firecracker. Plus, he's hard to pitch to. I don't see how anybody else but him can be the MVP, and I think he's definitely.
And the Astros feed off of him. He's a big spark.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and again, just as Cody Bellinger at first base, he is the no-brainer pick. Altuve over the two-headed monster for the Dodgers of Logan Forsythe and Chase Utley. Altuve is hands down, the check mark goes in his box. And as far as the MVP, you guys are right. He just does everything well. You take him away from that team, and it's just not the same. I understand, where people are coming from with Aaron Judge. If he doesn't quite develop into the player that he has become this year, we're not talking about the Yankees at all, even in the postseason. They just don't quite get there. But the baby bombers are just that. He's still a baby. He struck out a lot. He's just not anywhere near. He can't hold Altuve's jockstrap. He just can't.
What is he, 27? Let's see what he does next year.
Yeah.
This is his first
Can
year.
he back it up?
Yeah, exactly.
And Altuve does.
Yeah.
He backs it up.
Yeah. You just don't see a lot of guys. Again, there are a lot of guys who don't quite make it into the majors until they're 26 and 27, or don't have an impact until they're 26 or 27. But most of those guys just sort of fade into the woodwork. And the kind of year that Judges had, I'm really wondering what it's going to be like next year, because it's taken him a while to get to the bigs.
Maybe Tom should phone in. Have Tom phone in.
There you go.
Tom, we disagree wholeheartedly with you.
Shortstop, Vince.
I would have said as a Dodgers guy, it goes to Seager. I love the way he gets on base and hits for power, and I would have given it. But now that Seager's coming into this with a bit of a bad back, he may end up being a DH when they play in Houston. The nod probably has to go to Correa here. Correa is just such a magnificent young player. You look at that, the middle of that, just the straight up the middle.
Exactly.
For that Astros team, and I think the Dodgers get a little envious that they've got a couple of washed up guys in Utley and Forsythe. There might still be a little bit left there for Forsythe. I think, unfortunately, Utley, we're still hoping he still doesn't have a hit in the postseason, and hasn't had a hit in 23 of his last postseason at bats. But as far as Correa is concerned, he's definitely the guy. He's a linchpin for them in the middle, and defensively, couldn't ask for a better guy.
I actually agree, but I think it's very close, like what Vince said. But I just think that Corey's just a year behind the guy. You know what I mean? He's just gonna get better and better too. So I do nod it to Correa, but it's Seager's on his back.
Yeah.
He's really close, but I agree. So
I've got a Correa also. If Seager had not been hurt, if he had played all year and put up the numbers, that he could have put up, he probably would have been the choice. But Correa, 315, 24, 84, and a 941 OPS. And like you say, he's a young guy. He's good defensively. And, they're already talking about using Seager as a DH in Houston. So you're not going to get him, probably 7 games or 6 games.
So he's not going to play tonight? Seager.
No, he will. He's in the lineup.
Oh, he is in the lineup.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
But not in his usual
right
in the lineup.
Right.
They've dropped. He's playing short, but he'll be
hitting like 7 or something.
I think it's 6th.
6. Okay.
Justin Turner, I think, is the selection at third. I can't see any other way. 322, 21, 71, and 941. Bregman's going to be good, but Justin Turner just had an awesome year. He's done everything, he's been a spark plug. That home run he hit in the 9th inning.
No doubt about it.
This guy has just had a terrific season.
All year long, he's just been hitting the crap out of lefties. It's been the biggest difference in what we talked about. The Dodgers were a 90-win team last year, but they didn't advance to the World Series and couldn't quite get over that hump. And one of the bugaboos was the hitting against left-handed pitching. They just didn't have it. And even though Turner is historically very good against left-handers, he wasn't great against lefties last year. He's been great against lefties this year. And he's just flat out great, just great. I mean, hitting for a long time, he was hitting 370, and he was up at the top of the batters, and he ended up hitting 320 and has just been magnificent in the postseason. And I think most people have to look twice to see who the third baseman is for the Houston Astros.
Exactly.
Bregman's just doesn't hold the candle to
not in the same
to
class
Turner.
right now.
No doubt.
Yeah, and if we're going check by check,
right, and like Altuve, I think between Puig and Turner, that's who the Dodgers feed off of, those two guys. And he's the quiet one that does it. He's not that too energetic kind of guy like Altuve is, but he just speaks with his bat and his glove and just a phenomenal player. He's had a heck of a season.
And just so interesting because tonight he's
a great story. It's a great story too.
Absolutely. Long Beach to Cal State Fullerton and
the Mets.
Growing up and just being a utility type of guy, for the Mets, and then changing the way he swings the bat, changing his approach, and not only that, but helping Chris Taylor to become the kind of hitter he is. And it's not a fluke. I mean, it didn't just work for Justin Turner, right? I mean, Justin Turner showed Chris Taylor the approach, showed him how to battle, and Chris Taylor has been one of the toughest outs in the postseason. And obviously, it was very clear, that he was a co-MVP with Justin Turner. Unbelievable.
As you said in the past, don't wake up Chris Taylor.
That's right. Don't tell him he's not Babe Ruth, because this year he's been.
Yeah.
Left field, I'll have to go with Marwin Gonzalez over Ethier, Hernandez, or whoever else they put out there. 303 batting average, 23 and 90. He's been clutch. He's driven in the runs. He's been a real thorn in the side of opposing pitchers. I just think he's got the edge in left field.
Yeah, I agree, and it goes back to how the Dodgers are playing their players. You got a two-headed monster at second base. You got a three-headed monster in left field, and yeah, I agree. This is a guy who's been consistent all year. And he's got some pop in his bat, and I agree with you. I'll go with
yes, and I would say that whoever they play in left field, whether it's is it going to be Gonzalez the whole time? I mean, is it going to be Fisher? Is it going to be Maben? I mean, I don't know who they're going to play in left field, and I think that's sort of the case with the Dodgers as well. And I think the deeper you go into it, whether it's Ethier and Hernandez, I think it gets a little bit closer. But if you're saying, Marwin Gonzalez versus Kike Hernandez. You probably give the nod to Gonzalez overall, but the way that Hernandez, 7 RBI, 3 home run game, he moved that needle a lot closer. So a slight edge to the Astros.
Center field, John.
Well, I think it's a close race there too, and I'm assuming Taylor is the center fielder. Is that correct? Yeah. It's I would say right now, I kind of give the edge towards Taylor due to the fact that he's making things happen in the playoffs, in the postseason. Now, if it's overall the whole entire year, it might be Springer. But I might give the little edge towards defense towards Springer, but you're making things happen with Taylor, and he's making things happen with the offense with the Dodgers. So I kind of slide towards Taylor a little bit in that. Due to the fact that we're finding, or I guess we're going off of what's happening now instead of the whole entire season, and that's why I think Taylor's a better player now when it comes to being in the World Series. So,
yeah, I mean, I think both of those guys are critical components for their teams, and I sort of look at it as just even. Springer certainly has more pop. He plays a better defense, but Taylor has really come along for a guy who's played his first outfield games this year.
Exactly.
I mean, it's phenomenal. But the way that Taylor grinds at bats, the way that he gets on base and just hits the ball. I mean, he just doesn't get cheated. I mean, I haven't seen him hit a trickler up the third base or first base line. I mean, he is ripping balls down the line. He is ripping balls. He's hitting the ball really well. So right now, I think it's even. I mean, I would say it's even. I wouldn't give it to either one, though. In this kind of series, the long ball, Kershaw's been susceptible to giving up the long ball. Some of the Darvish also has been susceptible to giving up the long ball. I think you have to maybe give the nod a little bit to Springer in that regard. Somebody with more pop, but nobody has had better at bats in the postseason than Chris Taylor.
Yeah, I had a hard time with this as well. It could have gone either way. I took Springer, but. If Taylor has a great series, it's not going to surprise me in the least. I mean, he's just peaking at the right time and doing all the right things. 17 stolen bases, that always helps. But I just maybe I look too much at the entire season. But I like Springer in center field. But like I say, I'm with Vince on that. It's pretty much a toss-up. Right field, I don't think there's any question.
No, it's clearly Puig. I mean, Puig went from in the regular season not being able to hit lefties to all of a sudden just being a holy terror against lefties to the point where he's in the cleanup spot again tonight against Keuchel. Amazing transformation. He just seems like a different guy at the plate. Historically, I mean, I think if you're A.J. Hinch, you think, God, at some point he's going to come down to earth against lefties, and one of the best lefties, around.
Oh, yeah.
So, if there's ever a time for him to come down, it's certainly against a Keuchel. But he's been great, and Reddick has not. He got his first hit, late in the game.
The other way.
Going the other way. His hacks have just been terrible, emergency hacks. He earned all 22 of those offers, offer at bats he had. So, and then just defensively, Puig has been stellar. Reddick's no slouch, but it's Puig for me as and I think he's the critical guy. Batting fourth. If he can continue to carry the team a little bit with his energy, with his defense, and with some time, drawing walks. I mean, would you have, if I had told you that Puig would have been one of the catalysts and he would have been hitting lefties and walking, would you? Nope. Would you even thought that?
I wouldn't have been on board.
I would ask what drugs you were on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, he's become the spark. He's the one that gets these guys fired up, right? You just hope it. I've talked to Vince this deep, but he's just a loose cannon, and you just hope he doesn't do anything stupid and try to do something all by himself and make a bad throw or try to take an extra base when he's not supposed to. You just hope that he continues to be on this momentum, avenue that is just going. It's going in the right direction, and he's seeing the ball great, and he's making great decisions on throwing the baseball. You just kind of want to look at him because he's on the biggest stage of it all now. Don't do anything stupid, and
just keep doing what you're doing.
And so far, they've got him intact, and everything is working great. It went from like hitting seventh to hitting fourth, and becoming, a guy that really makes things happen in crucial situations. And I've told you guys a lot. I'm not a big fan of his. Okay, I don't like the way that he puts himself on the field and shows himself to the fans. I'm more old school, traditional kind of guy, right? But I'm the first one to tell you he's making things happen. He's getting under people's skin, and he's loving every bit of it. And I got to give him those kudos. But I'm the first one to tell you when he takes that extra base and does something stupid, I'm going to go, I told you so. But
that's right. And look, and I think most traditionalist baseballists will say, good pitching is going to shut him up. And that may be the case, but I've watched him for a lot of years now, and it's an amazing approach that he's taking. And again, the wheels could come off. That's Puig. He's the wild horse. Yeah. You never know. The wheels could come off, and they may still. But if he continues to, just like the other guys, grinding at bats, spit on those curveballs, not swinging pitches out of the strike zone, and keeps driving the ball, he really stretches that lineup. And there are times when I think you look at it and go, God, Puig batting fourth. 2 months ago, I would have said, no, don't put that pressure on the kid. Let him continue to hit eighth. He can't hit a lefty. But you see that this isn't about the regular season. It's about the approach that he's taking right now. And Roberts has looked at him and said, I can entrust that you will have good at-bats in the cleanup spot against a world-class left-hander. That's phenomenal to me.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal to me. And that is not the kid that shakes his tongue and chases his batting coach around and
licks his bat,
and licks his bat and doesn't hit the cutoff. That's a different guy. It's a different guy, but there's still a lot of energy, and he continues to have that energy. And as long as he's having good at bats, he can shake his tongue and
do whatever
right. No,
whatever
exactly.
the hell he wants.
Keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing.
As long as he keeps himself under control, I think he's just been he's been terrific in that four hole.
Yeah.
He's really really done a job. Catcher.
This was an interesting position for me to think about. I mean, if you're talking defensively, it's all Dodgers. I think. Grandal and Barnes are both very good receivers.
Right.
Grandal, but if you're talking offensively, Gaddis and McCann, right? I mean, that's where you go. So I'm torn about this. Barnes has been hitting the ball well. We haven't seen Grandal do anything. He's lost his job. He's lost his starting job.
Yeah, Gaddis has actually done okay, but McCann, I think he went 22 at bats without even getting a hit, and then all of a sudden he doubled down the line.
Had the big hit.
So I just think that we really don't have too much on Grandal, in the playoffs, right? I think I'm a big fan of Barnes, right? But defensively, the Dodgers I guess you guys want to call them combos, right? They're better defensively.
Another two.
No doubt. Yeah, no doubt. Like, it's a big landslide of who's better defensively, right? And I'm really, I don't know, Vince, you probably could expand on this a little bit more, but I'm really liking the way that Barnes is handling his pitchers, right? And what I like about him is he's a great situational hitter. He'll hit the ball the right side. He just knows how to hit the baseball, and
gets the most out of his at-bats.
He really does, right? And that's great, because usually catchers, majority of catchers are hitting in the 8 spot or 7-8 spot, and it's in an easy out, and you go. And it's not with Barnes, and that's why and what I love about it, he's earned that job. He was not. Grandal was the whole entire season, right? And then,
that's right.
It's just, you look at Grandal and you go, hey, numbers don't lie. Here it is. I mean, this kid's putting the ball in play, and you're not, right?
It was that very stubborn Roberts who, because Grandal is a switch hitter, he was letting him go both ways. Then later in the year, he started getting Barnes more at bats, and then you'd look at it, and Barnes was absolutely crushing pitchers. He was hitting lefties. He's right. He was hitting left, but he was absolutely crushing righties as well. And finally, when things were going a little south, getting a little sideways on the Dodgers, he was playing Barnes more. And then it just became where Grandal, you could just tell by his body language that he had sort of checked out, that he wasn't hitting. It was affecting his pitch calling, and he's got a good arm. But there were times when there were so many passed balls towards the end of the season for Grandal, and you were just going, oh my God, what's going on with Grandal? And is his head in the right place? And I think now that they're in the World Series, he's going to get some at bats, and he needs to make the most of them. And it's again, I think this is even. I think defensively the Dodgers have it. Offensively, based off of the season, it's sort of a toss-up, but if Grandal can rake, and get some pop in that back in that lineup, Barnes hitting for average and getting on base, and Grandal, putting a little fear in the righties.
I lean towards the Dodgers. The only check mark I had towards the Astros was the catchers have a little bit more power. Other than that, I think the Dodgers are I think they're better hitters, is what I meant. Like hitters, like base hits,
Yeah,
doubles,
not
triple,
power necessarily,
and not as power,
base hits,
and they're
yeah.
better defensively. So I edge it towards the Dodgers more. I do. Again, if we're talking about sphere power, then yeah, you got to go to the Astros. But overall, I think the Dodgers are better.
Yeah, I've got Grandal and Barnes. I think, like I say, it's another one where you flip the coin.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just like the way Barnes has come on the second half, and I think it's a nice compliment.
It's kind of one of those kids that you watch play baseball and you go, you know what, this kid has earned his spot since he was a kid. You know, he's worked himself up to
nobody's ever
getting
given
that
him
job.
anything.
Yeah. It's not like he just went up and go, yeah, let's go to Barnes. You know, he's 6'4" and hits bombs. You know, he's scrappy. It's like a kid that where you look at him and say, hey, you're not going to catch next year, but we want you to learn how to play second base. And he'd say, okay, show me the way.
Yeah.
You know, he's
Got a little of that Biggio in him, which I like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Starting pitching. I had a hard time with this one.
Yeah.
I had a real hard time.
I didn't. I thought it was very easy.
I've got it even.
Not me.
Well, you look at. Now I realize that Kershaw, Hill, and Wood haven't lost a game. Not Wood. Kershaw, Hill, and Darvish haven't lost a game in the postseason. They've started. Dodgers have not lost a game. They've started. But you still have to look at Kershaw's postseason.
And first games. And
first game
playoff first
postseason.
game.
Yeah. And, Verlander and Keuchel have been lights out. Verlander's got that World Series experience. 19 World Series starts, or not 19 postseason starts, 11-5. He was been 5-0 with the Astros when he came over. And, Keuchel's Cy Young 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I had a hard time with that.
So where are you?
I thought it was very easy to make this decision. I do agree with you that I think the first couple guys are even when it comes to, and I don't know if I throw Hill. I think I kind of throw more Kershaw and Darvish as the 1-2, even though you want to throw Darvish in Houston. He's always been great on the road, but I really consider him a number 2 than I am Rich Hill, right? So I think those two, and you got Keuchel and Verlander. I think they're absolutely. I think I agree with you. It's an even deal there, right? But when it comes down to your third and fourth guys, I think it's very kind of skeptical about the Morton, McCullers, McHugh deal where I think you got Hill. I'm going to throw Hill in the 3 spot, right? So Hill has done very well for himself in the postseason. I think Wood has only played one time, right? Or pitched one time, but he did pretty good, right?
He did all right.
He
looked like a guy who hadn't pitched in a while.
I think the actual series is going to come down to one guy, Kenta Maeda. Okay, this guy can get you to the 7th inning, right?
We'll talk about that later.
Well, I thought this was all about pitching,
well,
right?
just starting pitching.
Just starting pitching. Well, then I'll just keep it at that because I think when it comes to 1 through 4, I thought it was a little bit stronger on the 3 and 4 spot for the Dodgers than it was for the Astros.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's neck and neck with Kershaw and Keuchel. As far as right now head to head, but Kershaw in the postseason. But if I had to take one pitch tonight, it's Kershaw. And maybe some of that is because that's Homer stuff on my part. I'm an LA fan, but so I give the nod to Kershaw. Verlander versus Hill. Verlander gets the nod there, even though he hasn't been great all year. He's been lights out in the postseason. Hill's terrific, but you just never know. He's the human blister, and you just don't know what you're going to get out. He pitches very emotionally. I don't know. And then game 3, it's Darvish, and who are they throwing? McCullers maybe or Morton?
Or Morton. It'd probably be Morton since he was the one that actually had the good start against the Yankees.
And then maybe McCullers will be there. Are they going to throw him in relief?
I would say no. That's your 4th starter.
That's your 4th?
Yeah, and then McHugh's the guy that he throws in. But
he goes in relief.
McHugh kind of fades in, and he's going to be maybe their Maeda, right?
Yeah.
That comes in and try to hold and put down a hold. But
yeah, I think it's even, and all because of what happens sort of in that back end with the Darvish and Wood and whether it's McCullers or Morton, who's had a great year.
Mm-hmm. And the reason I know that you guys talk about the postseason, I could be completely wrong here, But I look at the postseason difficulties with Kershaw being that he was overpitched. He's not overpitched right now. He's as healthy as it gets.
Right. He was always.
And he's
going
always
on,
been overpitched. You know,
right.
and this
he was
is
going on short rest.
This calendar, the way it's happened, could not be better for the Dodgers when it comes to the setup. Right.
Yeah.
Where you beat the hell out of him the last couple times with him. You're like over pitching him. Now he's on his regiment. You know, he's on his calendar, and everything's feeding towards. But again, you know, his postseason, you know, up till I think the last game, I think he gave up a home run in every single, you know, postseason game. So and you're going against a team that likes to hit home runs. So hopefully this rest is
all solo home runs.
Yeah, true.
So 5 home runs in the postseason, all solo.
Yeah. So I thought he gave up a 2-run homer. Almora okay, it was a solo. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, he gave up solo homers.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, that'll be interesting to see. Now we'll let John.
No, I mean, okay. Sorry about that. When you said pitching, I just said pitching.
Yeah,
then
relief.
you said starting
Bullpen.
pitching. But I think Kenta Maeda has just earned himself just a big kudos from the whole organization. He's done a phenomenal job with what he's done in relief. ERA is 1.38, 17 strikeouts in 13 innings, including retiring 15 batters faced in the postseason. I mean, he's just been phenomenal. And then he gets them to the Watson, Sangrani, to Morrow, and it's just, you know, you've got, the bullpen's is 0.94 ERA with 32 strikeouts, with 2 walks and 23 scoreless innings.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I said in the last podcast, it's like Kevin Kinney said, you better be leading by the 7th inning or you're going to struggle getting home. So, and behind that, right, behind this pitching, starting pitching and relief pitching is the best defensive team in the National League. So, or might be in the majors, you know, is the Dodgers. So it's, it's all leading when it comes to obviously I don't know if you guys see this, but I think it's the Dodgers pitching versus the Astros offense, right? This is what this whole thing's about.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question. Yeah. It's really about. It's really what it comes down to, and I agree with you that the way that the 2 months ago I might not have said Dodgers bullpen over the Astros bullpen. I might not have said that, or 3 months ago. But now I do. They were absolutely lights out against the Chicago Cubs, and were the Cubs in a slump, or did the Dodger, pitching put them in a slump? The Dodgers pitching was just tremendous.
I think the Dodgers pitching, they hit pretty well against Washington. I think Dodger pitching. What happens next year now? Does Maeda?
It's a good question.
Want to relieve? I mean, I think the Dodger bullpen is lights out with him. Getting the bridge.
It all depends on. I mean, what do you have coming back? I mean, is everybody coming back on this?
You're going to have a starting staff.
Somebody. We're going to lose one of the starting pitchers. I think.
I think you keep him as a pitcher, but you know that you have this for the postseason.
But do you? Does he go back into the rotation?
Heck yeah.
Maeda, or does he stay in the bullpen?
No, I think
it all depends. I think the fact that Urias, is still going to be recovering.
Right,
and some of these guys, Buehler, and they're just not quite ready.
Mm-hmm.
Walker Buehler, the guys who are supposed to be,
Well, you don't know if you have Darvish next year, right?
Right,
yeah,
exactly. You don't have Darvish.
You don't have Darvish.
Right. So
next year.
Maeda is likely under contract and is likely going to be a starter. But that's been the key, and I said it last week when we talked about it. He's the missing link. He's the missing link in that bridge to Jensen, the Kenley Jansen, and he throws with so much better velocity, command, and movement. Everything is better. As a starting pitcher, you can tell there's a little age on him, a little wear on him. It's a guy that threw several years in the Japanese league. There's no question about that. He's been the absolute key. I think he's going to continue to start next year, but he is what continues to be that secret weapon that the Dodgers have for the postseason, and it might be what puts them over the top.
Yeah, I love of course Jansen with 5-0 with a 132 and 41 saves.
And Morrow
6-0.
And Morrow, didn't he get like a reliever of the week? Honors. He's been filthy.
But I'll tell you right now, the way that these general managers are watching this, you could go offer something for Maeda, and he could be your closer. I mean, he's that, he throws that kind of good stuff,
Certainly your setup man, but the kind of money that he's making, you need to get 150 innings out of him. Just the kind of contract that he has.
Plus the Astro closer Giles, he's 1-3 with a 2.30 ERA. He hasn't been lights out.
Well, that's what
I think if the Dodgers can get the Astro starters out of there,
right?
I think that
no,
really,
I think it's going to be watch out. It's going to be because something was quite interesting. You bring McCullers in, and you're up 4-0, and you don't even think about going to your closer.
No.
He lets McCullers throw 16 or 17 curveballs in a row, something crazy, because it's a great 23. It was a great out pitch, right? No doubt about it. But why are you the Yankees would have went to Chapman, and the Dodgers would have went to Jansen, and these guys would have went to their closers, right? Kimbrel or whoever it was. They didn't go to Giles, right? So that's kind of telling me they don't like their setup guy.
4 blown saves,
right? And they don't feel comfortable with this guy. So, I don't know. Do you put McHugh in that spot and McCullers comes your close? I don't know what's going to go on there, but I'll tell you right now, they don't believe 100% in their relief. I think Harris might be the only guy that they kind of feel comfortable with.
They've got to hope that they get 6-7 innings out of their starters.
They have to, no doubt about it. They have to, and they have to get those runs. They have to be up 5.
I think both. I think that the Dodgers, luckily, were able to figure out they had such deep pitching in the bullpen, starting. They were able to figure out very early in the postseason what those relief innings were going to look like. Mm-hmm. If our pitchers, which were only giving them 5-6 innings per start during the regular season, if they can give them even just a little bit more, it was going to be, Maeda or Morrow, maybe throw Fields in there, Cingrani and Watson, who were throwing not only to lefties but to righties. Yeah. Really critical. But Morrow in more of the leverage spots, and then it was Kenley Jansen to close things out, and there wasn't a lot of stress on Kenley in overall, and maybe some of that is just as a fan you just go, he's got this, he's got this locked up, but as long as the bullpen continues to throw strikes and get outs, hard to get past them, and like you said, Kevin Kennedy. You got to get a lead. You got to grind get a lead early. Yeah. But even then, the Dodgers were able to come back 3 times, after being down against the Cubs in those 5 games.
How about the bench? I like the Houston bench simply because in the games at Dodger Stadium they can't use a DH, so they've got Carlos Beltran and Gaddis coming off the bench. Mm-hmm. I think that gives them. An edge there.
I think it does, and it doesn't. I mean, if you're looking at the bench and you look at Kike Hernandez, or you consider Grandal, or Jock Peterson or Utley, I think it's more of a coin toss. None of these guys can actually. A lot of these guys just can't play. I mean, are you going to put Beltran in the field? I mean, where are you going to play him?
He'll DH.
No, but I'm saying, but if you pinch hit him,
pinch hit and DH.
Yeah. Pinch hit and DH. Yeah. And the Dodgers don't have a guy like that. I mean, the Dodgers just don't have a guy that they look down and say, "Oh boy, we can't put you out in the field." And to me, that gives them a slight edge. I mean, when you've got Chris Taylor who can play center field, then you think, wow, we can get if we get in the right situation, or this is going extras, and we've got Jock Peterson in center, and then we move Chris Taylor here or whatever. To me, with the way that Charlie Culberson, hit in the postseason when he was called upon, and that looked like doom for the Dodgers. The Cubs looked at it and said, "Oh, Seager's not playing. We got this wrapped up." And then Culberson came and just hit lights out. And then Kike Hernandez, who has been off the bench, there. So, I think it's a toss-up. I mean, I think you got guys who are, who are going to give you maybe that home run potential.
That's a little more pop.
I mean, good God, if you need a base runner, I mean, is Beltran the guy you want up in that spot?
No.
Ugh.
Well,
no, if you need a home run,
I agree with Vince when I see the toss-up. The toss-up is, I think, offensively, it goes towards the Astros. I think, but the variety of defensive, what you can do when it comes to playing the National League game, it goes towards the Dodgers.
And if it goes extra, if it goes deep in a game, the Dodgers absolutely have the advantage.
Yeah.
They absolutely have the advantage.
Yeah.
And you look at it, and it's like, the Dodgers look at that, and now they've spun it around where they had 3 catchers on their postseason roster. Now they've gotten rid of one. They've added, now they've got Culberson and Seager, and they've added McCarthy to the bullpen. The Astros still have 3 catchers.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
They got Centeno and Gaddis and McCann.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it's like, that's just a lot of pinch hitters. You've got not. I mean, if
you can't run with those guys. Those are big lugs. Those catchers are big lugs.
And if you've got to go deep into a game, or you got extras.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've got. Now you're in a pinch.
Yeah.
Pinch.
Yaps. How about managers? I got that as pretty much even. Roberts has made a lot of mistakes. Made a lot of good decisions as well. A lot of things have worked out for him. I think he's learning as he goes. Hinch hasn't had this experience before. He's kind of a, pick and see for him. But I don't see a real advantage there either way. I don't know. You guys may differ on that.
I've been hard on Roberts all year. I think he's pushed every right button in the postseason. He was last year's manager of the year. He'll be in the hunt again for it this year. He's been to the World Series as a player. I give the edge to Roberts. I think he knows what he has, and there's really just no more. There's no excuses. Any Dodger fan is going to look at it, and I'm going to look at Roberts and say, I trust him now. When we were losing 16 out of 17, I thought there was just too much tinkering with the lineup. Yeah. There's just no excuses. I look at this lineup and I'm not even going to complain about it. It's a little different, and Roberts has earned the right to do that, because somebody said today, and I think it may have been Harold Reynolds, said that the Dodgers are Moneyball with the money. They have the money. They're not like Moneyball trying to get the best out of guys with little contracts. They're Moneyball with the money. They have the analytics to be like the, Billy Beane Athletics, or like the Theo Epstein Red Sox when he was there. But they're Moneyball with the money, and I think they've got the analytics dialed in. But there's always going to be a little bit of that gut instinct, and I trust Roberts. I mean, here's a guy who is a folk hero in Boston because of the way he performed and got them over the hump and got them into the World Series, and he expects his guys to be gamers. I'm for Roberts. I've been hard on him, but there's a point now where I look at it and I'm not going to complain about anything that Roberts does in the postseason. The World Series, it's all lined up, and either the Dodgers continue to be the team that they have shown to be during most of the regular season, winning 104 games, or they get beat.
It would have been nice for you to show up with your little bobblehead and talk
my
to him,
bobblehead
and talk to him a little bit and say you're sorry to him. I'm even with the coaching. I do like a couple of the bench coaches in Houston. I like Pettis as a third base coach. I think that I like the pitching coach with the Dodgers. Alex Cora is going to become the Boston Red Sox. You don't see any of these assistant managers for the Dodgers getting any jobs right now. So I'm just wondering why, But I do think that I think Dave's got obviously a little bit more experience than Houston does. But I'm kind of a wash on that whole deal. Yeah. So a little bit of both. So.
Time to pick the winner.
Who wants to go first?
Should we let?
Let's.
Because I'm going to pick.
Yeah.
I like I said before, the Dodgers are poised to win this World Series. I think most of the experts are saying that the Dodgers have the slight advantage. I think the Dodgers win it in 7. I think the Astros are going to be tough, and they're going to get some wins. But I think the home field advantage makes the difference. I think the way that the bullpen is lined up now for the Dodgers is the difference. They're well rested and battle tested, and so I picked the Dodgers in 7. And it's not going to be easy. They're calling this sort of the Century Series, first time that 200 win teams have played in the World Series since 1970, and plus it's going to be 100 degrees when first pitch. So that's the other century part of the Century Series. So for me, it's not going to be easy. I think it's going to go 7 games, but my nod to the Dodgers.
I'm a little afraid. There's a statistic out there that's scary for the Dodgers. That is, the first team that win the divisional series is 1-11 versus in the past 12 years. So that's going against the Dodgers. But I agree with Vince. I think this is going to go 7. I think you're going to get Kershaw in Game 7, and I think that something's going to happen late in the game, and I think the Dodgers are going to be able to get that lead going into the 7th inning, and I think they're going to be able to hold on. And I think Jansen will come in and pitch a 6-out save to do it. But I think it's going to be just a flat-out Rocky Balboa fight. I think it's just going to go crazy. It's going to be nuts. And I think it's going to be. I think overall it's going to be great for baseball. I think it's going to be really it's going to be great for the city of Houston. But again, the Astros are 6-0 at home. The Dodgers are 4-0 at home. It's just, I think the home field advantage might be just a little too much. And I just like Vince said, it's, a lot of this depends on the first 3 or 4 games, like who gets beat up in the bullpen. Are you winning these games, 4-0, 4-2 or whatever, and only having to deal with a couple guys, or are you having to spin, are these going to be 6-hour games where there's come out here and come out here, come out here, come out here, that kind of thing. Yeah. So it all depends on, how these guys manage. And again, it's like we talked about it, we've talked about it in the last couple series. These guys are over managing. Just, that's what I'm wondering, like who is going to be the better manager here and making decisions. So I take the Dodgers in 7.
I think it's going to be the same. It's going to be, like Vince said earlier, it's going to be the Houston offense against the Dodger defense, the Dodger pitching. Yeah. Dodgers were 4th in the league in ERA during this season, 4.12. The Astros were number 1. Their starting pitching, their entire pitching. They were 3.38 first in the American League in team pitching ERA, which I think is tougher. In the American League, you've got 9 hitters you're facing every game, as opposed to the National League where you got, a pitcher who's likely going to strike out. So I think a 3.38 ERA in the American League is pretty darn good. Houston was number 1 in on-base percentage, 364. Dodgers were 3rd at 334. Batting average, Houston hit 282, number 1. Dodgers were 12th at 249.
With a DH, 282.
With a DH, correct. And home runs, 238, number 2 for Houston.
221.
221 for the Dodgers. 4th.
With a DH.
Yeah.
All right.
I like the Astros in 6.
Huh.
I think they'll split in L.A. I think Houston will get 2 wins at home. 2 out of the 3, and I like Verlander to win Game 6. So I'm going to go out on the limb here, and you're gonna pitch Verlander in Game 2 and then bring him back in 6. And bring Keuchel to Game 7. You wouldn't bring. I would put Verlander in Game 7 if I was. Keuchel would go in Game. Probably go. Yeah, they'll do what they did in the playoffs. Keuchel probably go Game 5.
5. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
okay.
Verlander in 6. Right. Although I could be wrong. But, I'll take just for the...
a key statistic they think the Dodger pitchers need to know, and they obviously do, but the Astros were number 1 in lowest strikeout ratio in baseball.
Yes.
Which is was kind of a unique
They
stat
put bet
that I
on
saw
ball.
this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or they got good eyes. One of the two. You know.
Yeah.
So.
Or they're short. They're very short.
Well, I tell you what, we're just about eating up this hour.
Really? I had a feeling it was going to go a long way.
Well, that's why I said at the outset, don't expect us to get through everything.
Is that great? Then you wrote this story then for Sports Illustrated, taking them and getting 6 games? Is that your deal there?
I think the Rams have finally told the world they are serious about at least a playoff spot.
No. They're number 2 in the NFC power rankings. Behind the Eagles, and it was again what we were talking about last week. A lot of balance. Gurley running, Goff managing the game in the air, the defense coming up big, spinning a shutout. I mean,
that's hard to do.
Spinning a shutout. A couple of big picks, one of Palmer and before Palmer left, and then off of Stanton, and the kicking game, another 4 field goals for Zerline.
Yeah,
everything, all facets of the game now.
Well, and I totally agree, Vince. I mean, it's almost like a broken record every week. In the last 3 weeks, that we're talking about this, but I really think that they should have beat Seattle, right? So I really think that they could be the leader in the NFC West.
They should be 6-1.
You can say goodbye now to Arizona. They're done. I know the Adrian Peterson thing kind of spiked them up. They just lost their quarterback, so they're done.
11 carries for 21 yards.
Yeah, exactly.
Not
so they're done, right? And then San Francisco is
Seattle's it's going to come down to the Rams in Seattle.
Right, exactly. And I just think that the Rams, I guarantee you go in that locker room right now and they're like, gosh, I wish I could play them again. Well, they are, right? They will, right?
Yep.
Yeah. But I mean, I like the way that the Rams are going, and he's got them believing that they are a playoff team.
That's right.
And I just think if you can just keep getting Jared Goff better every week and making better decisions and being able to run the ball, granted, this is all talk on basing on they stay healthy, right? They could, their offensive line's going good. Everything's going in the right direction. It's flowing down the river smoothly. If it keeps that way, I no doubt they're a playoff team, and they're a playoff contender, I think, really. Yeah. They play great on the road. I mean, they can go either way. So I just,
they've got to play Seattle in Seattle, and that's a hard place to play. But like you say, they should have won the first game.
I like them there. I think they can beat them there.
I think so. I think so too. They're becoming much harder to defend. Goff has become
because they're balanced.
Goff has been distributing. I think he had nobody had more than 5 catches. So it was like Watkins had 5, and then Woods had 4, and Kupp had 4, and just Gurley had 4, and again, he's just such a weapon to throw to out of the backfield, and it really keeps him off balance, and it really feels like McVay has figured out how to keep it balanced, how to make sure that Goff is making confident throws that he can complete. And just keep moving that.
He threw to seven different people.
Yeah, seven receivers.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. So I mean, and if you can run the ball, it opens. It's a broken record. You run the ball, it opens up the passing, right. And if you can keep him poised and just keep letting him mature every single week, and I think he's a kid that when he believes in himself and he's playing with a lot of confidence, he's going to be a really good quarterback, and like we said, I mean, the balance of this football team is making them successful. They're not one side. It's not like back in the day where Baltimore was a great defensive football team and they kept you in all the games and they beat you, 17-13, those kind of things. It's like Vince said, they're running back kickoffs, they're punting down inside the 10-yard line, they're running the ball, they're passing the ball, they're kicking field goals. I mean, it's all working as one, and it's right now. I shouldn't say it's a well-oiled machine, but it's a good working machine.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, it's been fun. They've been fun to watch.
Gurley had 106 yards rushing and 48 passing, receiving.
Yeah, his all-purpose yards every week.
Yeah.
He's an absolute weapon, and he's running with authority, and he's just and and then when he'll run, and then you'll get a pass out in the flat. I think he caught a pass for a touchdown that he took in, and then the way that he's been using Tavon Austin, who has just, and I've talked about this contract. It's just a ridiculous contract, and they need to get as much out of him as possible. What is Tavon Austin? I mean, he's you got to get the ball in his hands, and they're throwing him little pitches in the back and getting him out.
3 for 27 yards rushing, and he was 2 for 15 receiving.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just,
exactly.
It's like I said, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago when we started experiences, like it's a whole nother thing that these guys really don't scheme for, and it's somebody else was doing. It's like what they did in Green Bay with Montgomery back in the day, right? And they're like, hey, you're a wide receiver, get in here. So now he's a running back, So
I'm pleased.
Yeah.
I'm happy with him. It's been great.
John, we'll let you talk about your Chargers. Another shutout for the Chargers as well.
Yeah. Let's just hope the Dodgers. It's an LA thing, man. Everybody's just shutting everybody out, right? Right. So,
three straight.
Again, and it's 3 straight, and I think they got Denver on a bad. With Giants went into Denver and beat them up, and then they came here, so they weren't firing on all cylinders. I'll take that, right? But again, it's not pretty wins. It really isn't pretty wins, but they're getting the thing. They're getting it done. And again, here we go back to their losses, right? Except for the Eagles, they've lost like 3 games and under 7 points. Right. They literally could be 5-2 or
and Oakland beating KC got them right back into the
So
race.
now it's like the Pac-12. Everybody's beating everybody in this league, right? And so here you go. I mean, anything can happen. So I think he's got belief in him. Like, hey, look, just keep winning your divisional games, and you never know what's going to happen here. So again, I don't get excited about Vince probably gets excited to watch his Rams every week. I'm on eggshells. I'm like, what am I going to get this?
Well, with the Chargers, it's good news, bad news, right? Yeah. They've won 3 in a row, and yet they lose their starting guard.
Yeah.
Slauson is now.
Plus, they go into they play New England. The Pats.
Yeah.
On the road.
Exactly.
So that's not going to be.
So not the easiest thing,
but if they can focus on the division.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And winning those games.
Right.
Those are your most important games, those division games.
That's right.
So, and KC's slipping now. So it's just a little bit of, who's going to win those
At least they
games.
silenced the road crowd.
Yeah.
Silenced
Oh, my
the road
God.
crowd.
There was a lot of orange there.
There's a lot of everything every single week.
But they silenced him.
Yeah.
They played a good game. Travis Benjamin, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The return.
Guy's fast.
Yeah, the return, and then he also ran a pass.
A pass across the middle, actually. So
very nice.
Yeah.
Some quick thoughts about the USC disaster in South Bend.
Yeah, like I said, I had sort of. I mean, I was very lukewarm about it, and had sort of signed on to. It's not the end of the world if they lose that game to Notre Dame. I would have preferred that they look better doing it.
I think Clay Helton would have. Hope so too.
And I'm sorry that there's going to be so much heat now on Helton. Lynn Swann is even adding fuel to the fire. I don't like that at all. But everybody, what was it? Aaron Rodgers said, everybody just calm down. Everybody just relax, right? They're still in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
They're still in the driver's seat. That Arizona State game is not going to be easy. That team has found its feet.
Yes.
And their defense, they were doing a lot of exotic, blitzing and things like that. And now they're just coming straight at you. And they look around and go, wow, we've got the players to actually defend. So USC goes into hostile Tempe this week, and it's not going to be easy. But if they can take care of business, they can get their shiz together and go in there and win. Then they keep the ball rolling for winning the South and moving on.
They win the South.
So if they don't win the South, let's just say they don't win the South, does Helton now start looking at coordinators, or do you think it's his job?
I would have thought it was his job, but the way that Lynn Swann reacted after we lost to Washington State on the road, and now the way that USC boosters are just filleting, Helton, somebody's going to pay for it. It's either going to be Pendergast, whose teams in big games give up a lot of points.
But I agree.
A lot of points to Penn State.
But I agree with you. I'm not a big fan on the play calling either.
T. Martin.
Yeah,
T. Martin's the problem for me.
I agree. And do you, because of that. Helton's the guy that hired those guys, right? Or did he?
Yeah.
Or was he given the? No, did he hire those guys, or did he get those from?
Well, he hired
some of the. Oh, he hired them. See, so that's where I got to make a decision there. With look at what your offensive coordinator, either you're fired and I'm bringing a whole new crew in here, or those guys are gone and we need to go to the drawing board to find 2 good coordinators. So I don't know how that's again. That's if they lose the South,
Speaking of what Vinny said, Swan said after the Washington State game, they asked for his reaction. He said, "I think we should be undefeated."
Yeah.
And I mean, I think this team, the expectations at the start of the season might have been a little higher than they should have been.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And you got you lost 12 guys to the pros, right, or something like that, something crazy. So you lost. It's just you just don't replace those guys like in a blink of an eye. And that team was well rested that they played last week, and they had a week off,
right.
and it was it's all about that game for them. That was their big game, and now. Now they're in top 10 now in the nation.
SC better not lose again.
Well, they can't. I mean,
their goal
is to win the South.
Yeah.
Look, they're not going to the playoffs. They're not going to win a national
championship.
The
Rose Bowl. They'll get the Rose Bowl.
But they can get the Rose Bowl.
But I don't know if the Pac-12 team is going to get to the playoffs.
No, I don't
think so.
I don't. It's all about winning the Pac-12 championship is your
right.
Super Bowl.
Well, if either Washington or Washington State win the championship game with just one loss,
I still don't think
they might be in the conversation.
Yeah, it's just because of who Washington State lost to.
Well, I'm saying Washington or Washington.
Well, who did Washington lose to? Right? I mean,
Well, Washington lost to ASU, and if ASU makes this run, is what I'm trying to say, to get into the Pac-12, that helps Washington a little bit. But I still don't think that anybody in the Pac-12 is good enough to play. I think the question is, if Alabama beats Georgia, Georgia beats Alabama, you still could see that game as the national championship.
Yeah.
Which I think is stupid.
It's interesting, the kind of heat that USC fans, the hype and that sort of thing, that this should have been a national championship team. And if you're looking at through that filter, those glasses, it seems like a disappointment. But, our friend Dave King was telling me, look, Dabo Swinney is 16-2 in his last 18. Same record as Helton. Right? Yeah. Are they going to run Dabo Swinney out, And
they just lost to Syracuse.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And, Nick Saban is 17-1 in his last 18. I mean, if you compare the records and you look at it, last 18 he's lost 2 games as the head coach.
Yeah.
Darnold has lost 3 games, right? Total.
Yeah. I agree, and that's what I'm saying is.
And the other thing is that we can sit here and say, oh God, Darnold's the problem. Maybe Darnold's the problem. T. Martin with the play calling. Daniel Jeremiah, who says Darnold's still one of the top picks, NFL quarterbacks. I
saw a report. I don't mean to interrupt. I saw a report somewhere where now he's not going to go out. He's not going to go into the draft after this season.
I'll believe that when I see it.
Yeah, I don't believe it either.
I know that he's probably lost some money by staying an extra year.
He's not going to go as high.
But again, he could come out and flat out kill you in the combine and get raise his stock. You just never know. So.
Yeah, and the guy with the good hair, the NFL draft guy. What's his name? He still thinks he's the number 1. Yeah, Mel Kiper.
Oh yeah.
He still thinks Darnold's a first quarterback taken. Yeah. So the skill is there. What's going on? I suggested it's T. Martin. It's not Clay Helton. It's not Sam Darnold, and they've had a lot of injuries on defense. Porter Gustin still hasn't come back, and just a lot of injuries.
Right. And they lost a lot of good players.
They've got 18 guys.
I mean, they had a guy that would run back punts and kickoffs like every other time.
Yeah, exactly. I had a Juju Smith-Schuster and Adoree Jackson. 2 guys, and that's not counting all the guys that they lost on the offensive line and defensively.
Right. Totally.
So
totally agree.
We're over a bit, but we're going to do a quick. I think we deserve give UCLA a couple of comments. Their defense looks like at that second half it finally.
So I guess what I didn't see, did Mora take over the defensive calling, or did he just more or less take the defense in the back and have a
behind the woodshed?
Yeah, behind the woodshed. So I didn't see that, but I mean, obviously, you want to say it was a very impressive win. But, UCLA's been giving up 313 rushing yards per game and 6.57 per yards per game, per carry. and they gave up 246 yards rushing again. But I didn't get to see the game, but it looked like it was a good overall, balanced win against a, pretty fast defense. You had one kid run for 160 yards. Freeman ran for 160 yards on 29 carries. But I mean, I didn't get to see the game, so I really can't comment too much on it. But
they were better.
Yeah,
they were better.
Yeah,
they were better.
But more. So what's his name? Still Tom? Whatever. Still did the defensive play calling.
Oh yeah,
Bradley.
Okay.
Yeah,
Bradley. Yeah.
All right. I think that'll do it. I want to plug again the Be on the Show. Anybody out there? Maybe Tom wants to call and debate the Jose Altuve. Yeah. Anybody has comments? Maybe they don't like me picking the Astros. Go to the webpage and send us a voicemail, and we'll play it back and let you air your comments. So we got to get home in time for this first pitch. So we are out.
Peace.